So, very well with that, I welcome you to another video. Today we'll be looking at Overmind. I did something last time with Rena where I showed you all skills and was giving you my impression of these skills and some basic usage information. And I'm doing the same with Ed, but this time I'll speak it. So, you see I already have the first skills in. Skills I won't talk about, of course, are the basic skills, because what I can already say, in my opinion, Overmind covers everything with his own skills that these basic skills can do. So I don't use Voidbreaker, I don't use Particle Accelerator, I don't use Neutron Bomb. When you go for range Venipuncture or Mod Venipuncture or Code Yellow, they all have the range that you need, so I don't use them. And I also won't be talking about Dynamic Configuration Pylon because it's Pylon, come on. Like, so first of all we got Ambulance. I will show you the skill and I will be using it. So this is Ambulance, basically a dash forward with some range. It can also be used in air. This is a skill I like to use. I also used it when I was leveling because it has pretty high damage for what it is. I mean, it's only like, it's okay, it's 60 MP, that's actually pretty expensive for an active skill, but it definitely has the damage to cover up those 60 MP. Now in higher dungeons I don't really use it anymore because I just have the other special active skills which I will use to cover the damage and have invincibility frame. So, but as I said, for leveling I really like to use it because 60 MP and a lot of damage. Next one, Radio Knife. Basically 2 attacks, does 2 slashes, deals some damage. It doesn't hit 2 or 4 times, I don't know why. Like from the attack animation you would guess it hits 2 times, from the attack looking like it looks you would guess it's 4 times, but it's more, I don't know why. It's 200 MP, the damage is, well, okay, I would say. I personally don't use it. I see some people use Radio Knife. I personally am not a fan of it because I think for the 200 MP I can just use, for example, Code Yellow or something in that direction, or Anesthesia, and will have damage with more range. So I personally don't use it, some people use it. I guess that's kind of what your opinion is. Next one, Examination, also a skill I don't use but I see people use. Normal Examination just has this field in front of you that deals multi-hits. Mod Examination looks a bit different. This is Mod Examination. So, kinda is like Ambulance, if you want to see it like that. That's actually fun. Well, as I said, also not a skill I use, and I would also not say that you should use the mod one because you lose the resistance. Yeah, but again, I see some people use it for the all resistant decrease, but I personally don't use it because I say, okay, I like to just leave the all resistance decrease on the side, and for that I have more damage skills with me, or support. Next one, Code Yellow, a major skill in this ad. It has a lot of range. If you have a lot of enemies, it also does a lot of damage because each of these, each hit spawns this field that you see over there, and that thing does multiple hits, and one field can hit multiple enemies, and when you have multiple enemies stacked up, it just go boom. It's really strong. So yeah, as I said, this is a main skill. Some people actually use it as their main DPS. On my support kit I also have it as my main DPS kit. Skill, I mean, of course. So yeah, you can use this as a main DPS if you want. It's really good for clearing, especially if you have the giant buff in, and it does really good damage for 200 MP. So take it. F. On F we have Stimpack. It is a buff I like to take with me, even in dungeons, because as you can see I get physical magical attack power increase and my enemies get defense reduction, which is really useful for 40 MP. Now here we have 10 MP, but if we go into the passives, was one of them was it? This one was it. Here, Stimpack. You can see I think I actually get 2 buffs when using Stimpack, so I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, so this is also a skill I would take with me just for the buff. Then Venipuncture, another must-take skill. Deals a lot of damage, covers a lot of range. I can't even say too much about it, it just is really strong. Next one of your key support skills I would say, Cure. Heals based off your max MP. The first hit is based on your max MP. So if I had more MP I would also get more than 160. Is affected by dynamo mutation points. So you see with 3 points I get 220 MP. And if I had more max MP I would get more MP. The additional procs afterwards are based on your CP, unfortunately. But yeah, as I said, your healing skill, your MP recovery skill, really useful, take it. E. Now I guess you see why I said I don't use Neutron Bomb anymore, because that thing is just so huge. For 150 MP it's just useful enough, you don't really need the Neutron Bomb anymore, in my opinion. So yeah, this is what I take for Neutron Bomb. So as you can hear, I take it with me in dungeons. It's really good for grouping up enemies, so you can group enemies up with this and then use code yellow to get this to get all the enemies together and deal massive amounts of damage. So I take it with me. Now next skill is R, PCA. This is damage reduction. 4 damage reduction, it spawns this field as you saw, and I don't usually take this skill. This is like when I'm there to deal damage in a dungeon, I usually don't really take the skill with me, or I take it with me but I use it very rarely. And when I'm playing as a support, then that's a skill I use a lot because it's a support skill. Last one in this right now here, then I have to pick in the new skills. Detoxication, another buff skill, spawns this huge field like this that has a lot of range, deals a bit amount of damage and increases your special active and active skill damage, so by quite a lot. Take this skill with you, it's one of your key skills again. The force spawns this laser beam in front of you. The difference is that with Unmod Detox, you get the buff as long as you are in the skill's range, and with Mod Detox, you get the buff when you fire off this laser, and your allies get the buff when they stand in the laser for 12 seconds. My apologies. No, I forgot Venipuncture. Mod Venipuncture. This is another DPS with some range. You can see it just spawns these little drones that will search the enemy and hit them with everything they got. And my Lou is about to die. Gotta cough again, give me a minute. Now here's a trick for all you aspiring YouTubers. Or you record something where you talk a lot, drink something. I promise you that's really useful. Now we're gonna switch all the skills and we're nearly through. Oh, blah, just hit my microphone. As you can see, I don't have the second hyperactive, but I'll talk about that when I get to it. Now, next skill we have is Defibrilator. No, actually I'm gonna go with order, so Physical Therapy is next. It has a little range. As you see, it's also more like a PvP skill because it gives knockdown reduction, which is not something usually used in dungeons. So yeah, this is definitely a skill I don't use in dungeons. But it might be useful in PvP. I didn't play PvP with this ad yet, so I can't really say something about that. Next one, Immunity. Spawns this huge field. Do not be fooled, as you can see, this does not deal any damage. But this drone you spawn above you, that will deal damage. But this skill is not to deal damage because it clears a debuff. Because this character has this nice little debuff when he uses too many... You're not actually part of that, are you? Well, then I got a tag called Yellow. Stimpack. Because as you can see when I use these... No? Wait a second. Then I'm just gonna... Here you can see. Over-treatment. Stage 1. Over-treatment is a debuff that you get when you use too many skills in the over-treatment category. Includes, for example, mass examination, but it stands on the skills anyway. Like if I go over the skills, here you can see no over treatment, but when I go onto detox, you can see here the under DP skill recoveries you see over treatment, and the more over treatment buffs you get, the worse the debuffs get. It gives you things like MP recovery during skills is reduced. You get less out of your recovery pots, and immunity is the skill you use to clean that over treatment buff. If I use Stimpack, oh wait, I have immunity. Yeah, so it works for 3 seconds. You can remove any debuff with this, except for, of course, in Vanipuncture dungeons and beyond that, these adaptation debuffs. But if I use this and get over treatment, can you please give me over treatment? Detox. Now I've got over treatment, and if I use immunity, it's gone. This is not that important in lower dungeons, but if you get into the higher dungeons and spam your skills through, you will get a lot of over treatment debuffs, and then you will use immunity, so bring it with you as well. Next one, Allergy. Is also not a skill I use. Or Allergy. That sounded kind of German. Allergy. Yeah, so also not a skill I bring into dungeons. There are just better ways to fill that slot, I believe. So on to the next false diagnosis. Spawns a cute little field in front of you. It looks really cool, to be honest. Gives physical magic power decrease. I personally don't use it. I believe if you're playing support, you can use it for the physical magical power decrease. But I personally usually don't use it. Next one, Mental Hygiene. Looks cool. Gives you super armor for a lot of time. Also a skill I usually don't use because you're not gonna need super armor that often. Usually you use infinite iframes, and if you can't dodge with iframes, you just run like this. So also not a skill I usually take with me. I believe it can be really annoying in PvP, so yeah. Next one, Defibrilator, one of your main DPS skills. Deals a lot of damage, a damn lot. You just saw it, 10,000% of damage with one single hit. Really deadly. One of your main DPS skills, so bring it. Now you already saw me using his hyperactive mass examination. Basically gives you a buff. Now you can see here's add like this. And that's because I don't have defense ignore stats. And it basically works like this. You have 4 stages. I can show you. Here, if you are below 50% critical, then you get 20% critical increase. If you are below 50% maximized, you get maximized. If you are below 5% physical magical defense ignore, you get 10% physical magical defense ignore. And if you got everything above the given stats, then you get physical magical attack power increased by 10%. This is a skill I would use. And this is also a skill I would use if I'm solo or support, because you just get some neat buffs. Even if you're leveling, you usually have below 50% critical, and then you just get 20% critical, so bring it and use it, please. Last one is Trolley Dilemma, a skill I don't have, but you can see what it does. And this is an important skill because... So this is important to know because max examination gives multiple members these buffs. And Trolley Dilemma is a buff you can only give to one party member, so when you use it and you are, for example, in a raid party, the slots or the keys you gave to your pots will be the keys with which you can choose the party member to give the buff to, and so you can only give it to one person, but that person gets some pretty nice buffs with skill cooldown decrease and active skill, special active skill empirical cost decrease. It is a skill for single DPSing, so I believe if you are a support in a raid party, you can use that skill to boost your DPS, your DPS person's DPS, so to say, or if you're playing solo, you can just use it to boost your own DPS. As I said, I don't have that skill, so I'm not exactly sure if you would usually use Mass Examination or Trolley Dilemma. I think you probably use Trolley Dilemma, but I can't say too much about that. Last one I can quickly talk about is this Genetic Modification thing. During dungeon plays, you will always get a few points. This is just very little, and when you attack enemies, you will sometimes get a chip out of them that then floats towards you, and if you catch that, it will regenerate this Genetic Modification. Well, you can see the buffs you receive when you activate it. One important thing is when you activate it, look at my DP, they are decreasing pretty quickly, and once they reach like 30 or 40 I think, then the buff deactivates again. But until that happens, you can just, you have that buff and you can increase your DP with certain skills, or if you press F7 here. No, it's actually F6 for me, okay. Yeah, that's for the buff. Now I gotta say I really like this ad, because it is a complete support ad, which is pretty cool because Mastermind and Paradox have these support features that they can use to make themselves more valuable if you can't deal the damage, but they are not really meant to be supports. So this is cool. Now you have an ad that is really here. You can either play him with damage with Defib or Venipuncture or Code Yellow, but you can also play him as support with Freeze, which I didn't show you right now. This, by the way, is Anesthesia. Basically freezes the enemy for quite some time actually. Really useful if you're a support. Yeah, that's really cool. I like him. I really do. I also like his basic way of character. Yeah, I don't have anything more to say. The recording is also longer than I thought it originally would be. 18 minutes, it's quite long. I was aiming for like 10 to 12. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Then I'll see you soon again, when I upload a video of him playing Dungeon or PvP. Hopefully you have a great day. So, see you soon. Bye bye.